Everyone ready?
This is the SEC Insider Hit. Presented by your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go local. Go with a home team.
Good morning. Welcome in. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by the Purple Mattress from any of the Muskelly sleep stores in the great state of Mississippi. Wendy and I have been sleeping on our Purple mattress with the Purple Grid that doesn't trap heat and is amazing for over 2 years. Muskelly Furniture, any of the Muskelly sleep stores. And the show is also presented by your next Nissan Pathfinder at Cannon Nissan in Jackson. The all-new body style. Nissan Pathfinder, Cannon Nissan in Jackson. Want to say good morning. Welcome in. We're live in the BankPlus Studio. College football is here this weekend. You'll get Navy at Notre Dame in Dublin, Ireland. And then you'll get some other games. May have to bet on those. Bet responsibly within your budget. To really get into those games. You know what I'm saying? $20 here, $20 there. Or $10, whatever. Or $9. Maybe you love it. Anyway, the next week, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, you get Florida at Utah. So, Salt Lake City, Power 5 matchup. We'll see if Billy Napier at Florida can get them going. And Florida at Utah next Thursday. And then another Power 5 game week 1. Not this weekend, but next. Same weekend that Ole Miss plays Mercer and Vaught Hemingway at 1. And Mississippi State will host Southeast Louisiana at 3. North Carolina, South Carolina. You get that. And then you have LSU and Florida State on Sunday. And on Monday, you get Duke and Clemson. Duke and Clemson on Monday. Those are some of the Power 5 matchups. There's some others in the Big Ten and so on. Unfortunately, Bama and Georgia disappoint us with some pretty bad matchups. Bama playing Middle Tennessee. Georgia playing UT Martin. Georgia doesn't play anybody for the most part. It is about as good a schedule as it gets. You know, we'll see if Auburn can at least give them some fits in week 5. Georgia at Auburn is week 5. So maybe a tough game because Georgia will not be challenged before then. It's a cupcake schedule. We are the Out of Bounds Show. We're brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your car and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. And we welcome in David Johnson inside the Rebels, 247 Sports, Ole Miss Insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Big weekend for Ole Miss on the recruiting trail as they land Mr. Franklin, the number 2 player in the state of Mississippi, according to 247 Sports, defensive lineman. And it was a battle between Tennessee, Auburn, Miami, among others. David, did you feel good about it the last few weeks?
No. I felt good about it Thursday. And, yeah, you know, to say Ole Miss came from out of nowhere would probably be disingenuous. They were always there. But, you know, in this era of NIL, Ole Miss came through. They did what it took. Their people did what it took to land a 5-star prospect who lives less than an hour away from Oxford.
Right.
They always said they would never let Cam get out of the state of Mississippi. And by gosh, they didn't. I went up there Friday night and I watched him play Hernando in a scrimmage game. Certainly an elite body. He's explosive off the football. Probably going to have to learn to play a little bit lower on the next level, but everybody has certain things they have to learn to do because he's just really a man amongst kids out there. He can kind of do what he wants to do. Didn't play a whole lot Friday night. It was just a scrimmage. Wake Cormorant beat Hernando 28-7. Wasn't much of a contest. And He'll be ripping and ready to go this Friday when the season opens for real, and he'll do that as an Ole Miss Rebel. And just to kind of put it out there, Ole Miss is not done, and they don't have to be done. There are a lot of people, just kind of whispering and stuff that, man, I bet they shot their entire NIL budget on keeping Franklin in Mississippi, because we know Auburn was involved. We know Tennessee and Miami were involved, heavily involved. They didn't. There's plenty of NIL money left in the Ole Miss coffers, and that's the first thing I want to say. They're not broke by any stretch of the imagination, and they'll continue having success on the recruiting trail.
Okay, so who's next, in your opinion?
Yeah, you got two guys that I'd be paying very close attention to. One is the 4-star quarterback out of Jones High School in Orlando, Florida. His name is Trevor Jackson. I think that is pretty much down to an Ole Miss pit battle, if you will. He's a 4-star kid. I think the number 20 quarterback in the country. And then Friday, I believe you're going to see St. Martin High School athlete Norreal White join this class as a wide receiver.
Okay, so on the quarterback, what's the timeline again on Trevor Jackson out of Orlando?
Yeah, we thought it would be this weekend. He did not pull the trigger this weekend. I think he could go at any time. And it could be as simple, Bo, as Trevor Jackson looking up and going, you know what? Cam Franklin just committed to Ole Miss. If I follow him right now, nobody's going to even know I committed, because he's the news. And he may just be sitting on that a day or two. Norreal White will make a commitment on Friday.
Okay, David Johnson, Inside the Rebels, Ole Miss, 247 Sports. Cam Franklin makes the call over Miami and Tennessee and Auburn over the weekend, Lake Cormorant, and Trevor Jackson is still out there in the wide receiver from St. Martin. So we'll see how that shakes out. What about the quarterback race between Jackson Dart and Spencer Sanders? Where are we with that right now, David?
Yeah, Bo, I have maintained since the spring that Jackson Dart was going to keep his job. And, Lane will tell you, well, they're both doing great things. And, all of the trappings are there. If you're listening to Lane Kiffin, and you should, about the quarterback race. But, he doesn't have to have a decision made, I don't think, until week 2 when they go to Tulane. He can let this thing roll on into the Mercer game, kind of keep everyone guessing all the way up until probably the Friday before they play at Tulane. And I'm of the impression that Jackson Dart is the starting quarterback at Ole Miss. If you read everything Lane has said about Jackson Dart and everything Charlie Weiss has said about Jackson Dart, and you couple that with the frustration that Sanders has had, in the spring and in part some of fall camp, Jackson Dart is the starter. Now, he may start Spencer Sanders versus Mercer, but honestly, who cares? He started Luke Altmaier versus Central Arkansas last year. Jackson Dart is going to be the starter at Ole Miss.
Okay, but as the season rolls on, who knows, right?
Yeah, I'm not Nostradamus, so I don't know what's going to happen. But how do you bench a guy that you constantly say has shown tremendous strides every single practice, threw for 3,000 yards last year, 20 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions if you take away the 3-pick effort in the Texas Bowl. And all they're saying is, man, he's so much better. He's so much better. How do you bench that guy? I don't I don't know that you can unless you go down to Tulane and lose and you push the panic button.
No, they're not losing. They'll blow out Tulane. I think really, David, it comes down to fair or unfair. These are two of the better teams in the country. Is how well he plays at Bama and LSU at home, and if there's some rocky moments, then I don't think Lane will hesitate to put Spencer Sanders in to see if he can get him going.
Well, and I don't think he's gonna be so quick to make a move. I mean, you go back to Matt Corral at Arkansas back in 2020, and Matt threw 5-6 interceptions in that game. Arkansas tried to gift wrap it to Ole Miss, and no, not Arkansas. What game was that?
No, you're right. It was Arkansas where Lane jumped up on the podium after the game and said, "Look, Corral's still our quarterback, regardless of the picks."
Exactly. So I don't see Lane. Look, there are a lot of quarterbacks going to have bad games versus Alabama and LSU.
Sure.
So I don't see him using that as a test for Jackson Dart, because a lot of times it's not how well your quarterback played or didn't play; it's how well the people around you were able to perform, and those are going to be tough assignments, and everybody knows that. And you still want to win football games moving ahead. So if he's still the right guy for you, you keep him, and not push the panic button at that point.
Okay, David John.
I don't think Lane's going to push a panic button. I mean, he's as cool as they come. So we'll see what happens. But in my mind, Jackson Dart is the quarterback.
All right. Inside the Rebels, David Johnson says it's Dart's to lose, and I think the first 3 games are blowouts, and then it gets real with the 3-game stretch at Bama and LSU and Arkansas at home. We're visiting with David Johnson, Ole Miss insider. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Ole Miss will open with Mercer. Offensive line, David.
Yeah.
That's what.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, look. Your son played offensive line. Ole Miss has had some good ones, and then they've had some that are pretty good. How is this line developing, and where would you rank it right now?
Pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. You had the surprise up front. You knew they had to find a left guard. Nick Broker's now playing for the Buffalo Bills. He's gone. Who's going to play left guard? Is it going to be Eli Acker? Is it going to be Vic Kearney? We've seen some different combinations up front. You can rest assured Micah Pettis is at one tackle. Jaden Williams is at the other tackle. Jeremy James is at right guard. So the questions are, who's going to be the starter at left guard and even center, where they returned Caleb Warren. But Caleb had a knee scope back in July, and that's slowed his progress. And so far through fall camp, Reese McIntyre is taking the 1 snaps with the offense. So, is Warren going to be ready? He wouldn't be today. So, that's the other spot. So you may be replacing 2 guys up front, and that's always a concern. But as you mentioned, 3 games at the front end of the season to get these guys kind of battle tested and working together. And I think they're going to be pretty good. Not great, but pretty good.
Okay. Go to the defensive side of the football. What's your biggest concern?
The secondary is still my biggest concern. You can go and look, they have looked great in what we've seen them. But you get down to the fact of the matter that you traded Miles Battle to Utah, Tyshim Johnson to Oregon, and Davison Ignosin to Ohio State, and you replaced them with guys from Liberty, North Texas, Georgia Tech, Florida Atlantic. I mean, do the math. And until they prove it, you got to think that could be a soft spot for Ole Miss. I will say this, though. Pete Golding is a difference maker. He has made a difference, particularly up front. I've seen great D-line play, great linebacker play. But, again, that secondary is, I think, a little suspect until they prove otherwise.
Okay. What's realistic for the Rebels this year, considering, they had Kentucky at home last year, Now they got Georgia on the road.
Yeah.
What's realistic this year, in your opinion?
Honestly, and part of this is because the SEC West is so good this year. Literally anybody could win the West. I truly believe that. Alabama may be down a little bit, not much, but a little bit. LSU certainly rising. Arkansas has KJ Jefferson back. A&M's got Bobby Petrino. Mississippi State's got a new coach and one of the most experienced teams in the league. And Lane's got Pete Golding now. So you got an offensive mastermind and a defensive mastermind. When I look at this Ole Miss team, to be totally honest, I could see anywhere from 9-3 to 5-7. And, I know that's a wide gap. And it's the difference between a successful season and an unsuccessful season. But I got to tell you, man, I mean, that's the way I see it. If they don't beat Tulane week 2, and right now that's, I think, an AP poll or the coaches poll, number 22, Ole Miss, at number 23, Tulane, then I think it's going to be hard sledding. If they beat Tulane, I mean, anything can happen, and that's kind of how I see it. It's hard to put your finger on it. There are a lot of people out there going, "Oh, they're going to be 8-4, they're going to be 7-5." I don't know what they're going to be, but I think it could be anywhere from 9-3 to 5-7.
Okay. When we're talking about wide receiver emerging as a big time playmaking threat, explosive plays, who do you think that'll be, David?
Trey Harris. I think the Louisiana Tech transfer has got everything you need. And look, I would throw Zachary Franklin in that category, but he's probably not going to play for the first couple of games. Hasn't practiced yet, other than just out there kind of going through the drills. I think a lot is relying on Trey Harris. They've got guys that can catch the ball. You've got Jordan Watkins. You've got Dayton Wade. The tight end position is going to be a strength this year. But Trey Harris has to bring with him the production he put up at Louisiana Tech. Has to. And Franklin has to do the same thing that he did at Texas San Antonio. If not, then, could be a tough year. Sunshine may have to run for 3,000 yards.
Right. When do you expect Franklin back full speed?
Yeah, Bo Lane doesn't discuss or talk about injuries, and I think he would guillotine anybody that did. My best guess is you don't rush him back, and he's ready for Alabama.
Okay.
That would be my best guess.
All right, let's go back over the defensive side of the ball. InsideTheRebels.com, 247 Sports. David Johnson joining us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Who's the number one pass rusher on the team?
Cedric Johnson. He's got all the ability in the world. And, this is his money year, so to speak. If he wants to go in that NFL draft, he has to have a big year. I think Ced is your number one pass rusher from the edge. Jared Ivey not too far behind him. And then up the gut, J.J. Piggies, man. I mean, they brought in Josh Harris, former 4-star defensive tackle recruit from North Carolina State, and this guy's a mountain. He kind of reminds me of Mount Cody over at Alabama, many, many years ago. He's going to free Piggies up to put some pressure on the passer from up the gut. I truly believe that. And they've got some depth there now too. Isaac Ukwu, who comes over from James Madison. Stephon Wynn, the big defensive tackle, won a national title at Alabama playing under Pete Golding, transferred to Nebraska last year, was going to get a lot of playing time there, got in the portal as a grad guy, and now he's in Oxford playing for Pete again. They've got some sneaky depth up front. A lot of people aren't talking about that, but they do have depth across the defensive line.
What about the kicking game?
Yeah, Caden Costa's back. He had to and Fraser Mason is back as well to handle the punting duties. Caden was suspended all of last year due to an illegal substance charge. And he had a great true freshman year, and he's back. And, man, I think the kicking game is in good hands.
Okay. I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready, man. I'm telling you. I'm ready for this weekend. Somebody plays this weekend.
They do.
And I'm going to watch every bit of it, whoever it is.
7 games. 7 games.
Look, I came home Friday night. Like I said, I went up to Lake Cormorant, and I got back to the house Friday night. There was a replay on of an NFL exhibition game between the Falcons and Bengals, and I just turn over there, and I'm watching it, and I look up, and it's 1:45 a.m. I've watched the whole dang game. The whole game. I mean, it was just football. I'm so ready for it, man. This is I think this is going to be a fantastic year for everybody. I mean, look, Ole Miss has expectations. State has expectations. Southern Miss has expectations. And you know who else does? The Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils have expectations. And I'm excited to watch them as well, as Eli's going to be calling the offensive plays.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great, man. All right,
Yeah.
David. That will be cool. We appreciate your time. We'll do it again soon. And I'm ready. You're ready. We got some games this weekend, and then we'll get it kicked off the next weekend with the Rebs and the Dogs. Be good, David.
Sounds good, Bo. Thanks.
InsideTheRebels.com, 247 Sports. David Johnson joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. He feels good about the Ole Miss front on defense, the secondary with some question marks. He believes it'll be Jackson Dart. We'll see if it goes, if he takes it the distance, or, if he struggles at some point and Lane throws in Spencer Sanders and how that looks. And he believes that Trey Harris could be the answer. As far as a playmaking wide receiver, he's the transfer from Louisiana Tech. And Franklin trying to get healthy by Bama. And we'll see how that looks, too. It doesn't really matter. First 3 games, you could win with me at quarterback. And that says something, as you all know. So Mercer, Tulane, Georgia Tech, that's 3-0. We'd love to hear from you on the Ag Up Equipment John Deere Tractor text line, 601-885-3776. Your thoughts on the season. Did any of y'all have your fantasy football draft over the weekend? And did anybody draft someone that's not in the league? Or something fun like that? Do you have a great punishment, too? We did our 3 rookie picks yesterday, which I wasn't quite ready for, but we did it.